Hello and welcome to our West Coast Today podcast with me, Kathy Griffiths.
Me, Owen Wild.
And me, Fiona Scott.
Here's just a taste of some of the many stories from our West Coast appearing in this Thursday's Oban Times and Lochaber Times and on our one-stop website www.westcoasttoday.co.uk. If you have more stories you'd like to tell us about and photos to share, why not get in touch with us by emailing editor@obantimes.co.uk or editor@lochabertimes.co.uk or contact us through our socials. Picking up the phone is also an option. Give us a call on 01631 568 000. First up today is Owen. What have you got for us?
Thank you, Kathy. Well, beloved Mull bus driver Andrew Noble has completed a 180-mile circuit of Mull, visiting all 44 of its defibrillators on his bike to raise funds for the network's upkeep. As an amateur cyclist, he massively underestimated just how hard it would be, but even still, he managed it, and raised almost £6,000 in the process. Well done, Andrew.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Fantastic indeed. Yeah, you never catch me doing that.
We can't get you to go out in the rain, Owen. We've got no hope if you're getting out on a bike.
No. Well, speaking of getting out, I was out this weekend. We all were, actually, because the events were non-stop, and somehow
Owen,
we were there to cover them all.
Rain.
It didn't rain,
Owen.
I know. It was nice
That's
and sunny.
why you were out.
That was why I was out. It's also why I got a sunburn on the backs of my hands. It was the Lismore Show, the Tunnel Highland Games, and Charities Day, all on Saturday in the glorious sunshine, and you can find coverage of all of them in this week's OT, with plenty of photos to boot. And then on Sunday, it was a huge goodbye to the Clipper race, as the fleet left Oban for its final dash down to Portsmouth. The parade down George Street drew thousands, many of whom stayed to watch the boats slip their lines and make their way to the start line at Dunstaffnage. Many, me included, then hopped in their cars and followed the fleet down to the beach at Sam's to watch the start of the race. You can watch all of that unfold from start to finish on West Coast Today right now. Finally, a wee bit from Sandy, who's gone off to enjoy a well-deserved summer holiday. Could the Gael be jailed? Reform MPs have moved to criminalise Gaelic in UK Parliament elections, and Sandy has looked into what that would mean for the language in the political landscape.
Thank you, Owen and Sandy. We are blessed indeed to be right here on our incredible West Coast, and it was our waters that got special attention from St John Cathedral's provost, the very Reverend Margie Campbell, when she brought back an old coastal community tradition of blessing the sea. We've got a report on that ceremony that attracted a wee crowd down at Denali Lighthouse, and it looks as though the blessing of the sea, for all it brings to our own lives and local economy, will now become an annual event. Love a good tradition. And keeping positive, after woof times for him and his frantic owner, Aspen, the dog that went missing in a forest near Oban, is finally back home. The search brought out the best in humankind and technology, even drones, with support from an Ayrshire-based dog search charity. You can read this incredible tale with a wonderfully waggy ending in the paper and online. Fee, what have you been working on this week?
Well, thanks, Kathy, and welcome back. You picked the right time to be on holiday.
I did.
Leaving you, Owen and I on our own last week.
I'm still looking smug and got a tan to show for it. Of course, I did have sun cream because I am always responsible. Sometimes.
I can see that, Kathy. You're looking radiant.
Thank you.
So up in Fort William this week, residents and businesses are growing increasingly concerned about the lack of post office services in the town. The issue reached crisis point after High Street stationers TJ Jones, which currently hosts the service, announced its closure. Andrew Baxter MSP, who used to run Kinlochleven Post Office, said once a branch closes, we all know how incredibly difficult it is to bring it back. Post Office is currently seeking a successful retailer to incorporate a post office main into their existing or proposed business. Elsewhere, two brothers from Cool will be putting their best feet forward when they tackle the 97-mile trek along the well-worn track of the West Highland Way. 17-year-old Asher and 20-year-old Noah Johnson are due to set off on Saturday, August 22nd. And while they're not out to break any records for completing the course, they are hoping to raise a fair amount for the Breast Cancer Now charity. The duo came up with the idea after noting that several members of their family had suffered from the disease. And finally, glorious sunshine, a fantastic crowd and a packed programme of traditional and novelty events combined to make the 39th Morven Highland Games another outstanding success. You can find a full report and photographs in this week's Lochaber Times and at www.westcoasttoday.co.uk, where you can read all about these and more of our local news stories. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Fee. So remember, you can read all these stories in full and more in this week's Oban Times and Lochaber Times, or why not jump over to www.westcoasttoday.co.uk, where you'll find the news and features from all our titles here on the West Coast. This podcast is now available on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else you usually get your podcasts from. Just search for the West Coast Today podcast in the service of your choice. Thanks for listening. It's bye from me, Kathy Griffiths.
Bye from me, Owen Wild.
And bye from me, Fiona Scott.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, hey.